That night, in a crowded New York restaurant overflowing with laughter and clinking glasses, my daughter sat across from me, her head bowed, tears falling silently onto a white linen tablecloth. And in that moment, I learned something no mother ever wants to learn. There are silences that don't just hurt, they kill. My name is Narissa Caldwell. I'm 58 years old, a mother, a widow, a woman who once believed that keeping peace in the family was the greatest form of love. But that night, something inside me finally broke. It was supposed to be a simple birthday dinner for my grandson, a fancy downtown place, candles on every table, crystal glasses, soft jazz floating in the air. My daughter Olivia had insisted we all come together. Her husband Robert, his parents, and me. She's my only child, the center of my world. A brilliant architect who put her career on pause when baby Matthew was born. Ever since my husband passed away 3 years ago, she makes sure I'm never alone. That's just who she is, soft, warm, shining. I arrived early, wearing a navy blue dress my husband gave me on our last anniversary. In my purse, I carried the embroidered handkerchief my mother left me, my connection to generations of women who survived by staying quiet, something I didn't want for my daughter. Olivia walked in moments later, arm in arm with Robert. She smiled the kind of tight, trembling smile a mother recognizes instantly. "Mom," she whispered, kissing my cheek. Her lips shook. "Honey, are you okay?" "Of course, just tired." But she wore a sweater. A long-sleeved sweater. In May, Robert greeted me politely, too politely. He always felt cold. Handsome, educated, successful. The perfect son-in-law on paper. His parents arrived next. Mr. Armstrong, loud and dismissive. Mrs. Susan, quiet, fading into the wallpaper. Dinner began normally. Until my daughter made a mistake. She ordered red wine, just that, red wine. "Olivia," Robert said, his voice low and chilling. "You asterisk no asterisk, I ordered fish. Red wine doesn't pair with it." "I'm sorry, I didn't think." "You never think." The server froze mid. I stepped in quickly. "It's fine, we can change it." Mr. Armstrong chuckled. A cruel, casual sound. "Leave it, Narissa. He's right. Women today don't even know how to order a glass of wine." I swallowed my anger. Olivia lowered her gaze. That was when I saw it. She reached for the breadbasket. Her sleeve shifted just an inch. Yellowish bruises. Finger-shaped. Trying to heal. My blood turned to ice. "Olivia." Her eyes pleaded. "It's nothing, Mom." But a mother knows. The dinner continued in forced silence. I watched every movement Robert made, every cutting joke. Every time my daughter flinched like a startled bird. Then the dessert came. A harmless mistake. Pecan pie instead of cheesecake. Robert snapped his fingers at the server. "Is this how you work here?" My wife ordered cheesecake. "It's fine," Olivia whispered. "I can eat." "Are you always going to be such a conformist?" "Robert, please. You're embarrassing me." And then it happened. In one swift, brutal motion, Robert grabbed Olivia by the hair and yanked her head back, hard. The restaurant fell into dead, horrifying silence. My daughter didn't scream. She let out a small, broken sob as tears rolled down her cheeks. And then, like a nightmare, Mr. Armstrong clapped. "That's how it's done, son. She needs to know her place." Olivia's shoulders trembled. Mrs. Susan stared at her plate like nothing was happening. But me. Something inside me shattered. A crack that had been forming for years finally split open. My hands shook on the table. My breath caught, and then I stood up. But before I tell you what I did next, you need to understand something. The girl sitting in that restaurant wasn't my daughter. She was a shadow, a ghost. Because the Olivia I raised, she was born fierce. A spring morning, 32 years ago, she came into the world screaming. Tiny fists clenched like she already understood life was a fight. My husband, Edward, held her and whispered, "This girl will change the world." And she did, or she would have. Curious, brilliant, determined. An architect at heart from the age of 8. When she built her first uneven little birdhouse, birds need a safe place too, Mom. She earned scholarships, graduated with honors, built a career, built a life. She was independent. She was happy. She was free. And then she met Robert. At first, he was perfect: flowers, dates, sweet messages. She glowed when she spoke about him. "Mom, I think he's the one." The wedding was beautiful. A garden, white roses, her lace gown she designed herself. "Take care of her," I told him as I placed her hand in his. "With my life," he'd replied. But slowly, subtly, he began changing her life instead. "Don't work so much. You don't need that job. Stay home. It's better for the baby. You should rest. I earn enough for both of us." Seeds of control disguised as love. When Matthew was born, exhaustion hollowed her eyes. Robert didn't notice. He just celebrated himself. The months passed, and my daughter faded. She apologized for everything, flinched at every sound, lived like a quiet ghost in her own home. One afternoon, I arrived unexpectedly. Olivia opened the door with shaky hands, a stain on her blouse, panic in her eyes. "When was the last time you left this house?" I asked. She didn't answer. We sat in the kitchen. I took her cold hands in mine. "Honey, are you happy?" Silence. A long, suffocating silence. Finally, she whispered, "I'm tired, Mom." Tired? She had no idea that soon, everything was about to break open. "But all mothers are tired, right?" She said it like a joke, but I heard the truth hiding underneath. It wasn't an answer. It was an escape route. And I didn't push, because sometimes a daughter's silence screams louder than any words. The months kept passing. Matthew grew. He learned to crawl, then to walk, then to say those magical first words. And Olivia. She poured herself into him completely. Too completely, as if he were the only piece of herself she had left. Robert worked late more and more. Came home at odd hours. Traveled for business constantly. Olivia never complained. Greater than, "It's his job, Mom. He has a lot of responsibilities." I watched my daughter fade in front of me. She stopped laughing. Stopped talking about projects, dreams, buildings, designs. Stopped being Olivia. And the cruel thing is, when a daughter smiles and says, "I'm fine," a mother wants to believe her. Sometimes she needs to believe her, even when her heart knows she's lying. One afternoon, I was at their house watching Matthew so Olivia could rest. He was napping in his crib, the house so quiet it almost hurt. I went to the kitchen to look for a bib. I opened a drawer, moved someplace, and there it was. An envelope, hidden. Tucked just far enough back that it wasn't meant to be found easily. I shouldn't have opened it. But I did. Inside were photographs. Not of birthdays. Not of vacations. Photos Olivia had taken of herself, arms, wrists, neck, all covered in bruises. Yellow marks, purple ones, finger marks. Evidence. My world stopped. It felt like the floor split open beneath my feet. I put everything back exactly where I'd found it. I finished watching Matthew like nothing had happened. Then I waited. When Olivia came downstairs from her nap, I was ready. "Honey," I said softly, "I need you to tell me the truth." She went pale. Her eyes darted away. "What are you talking about, Mom?" "You know what I'm talking about." Her eyes filled with tears. She shook her head fast, like a scared child. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" She swallowed. "Robert is under a lot of stress," she whispered. "Work, responsibilities. Sometimes he loses control, but he loves me, Mom. He loves me. Love doesn't hurt, Olivia. All marriages have problems. These aren't problems. This is violence." She wrapped her arms around herself, as if my words were punches instead of reality. I can't leave him, Mom. I have a son. A family. What will people say? What will his family think? And you ask, what about your life? My life is my family. That was the moment I broke. I knelt in front of her and took her cold hands in mine. Honey, please, come home with me. You and Matthew. Just for a while. Just so you can think clearly. I can't, Mom. Her voice was barely audible. Robert needs me. He's going to change. He promised me. How many times has he promised you? Silence. That damned, heavy silence. Olivia gently pulled her hands from mine and stood up. Thanks for watching, Matthew, Mom. But it's getting late. Robert will be home soon, and I need to make dinner. The conversation was over. I left that house with my heart in pieces. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in my bed, clutching my mother's embroidered handkerchief, and I cried. I cried for my brave girl who had forgotten she was brave, for the dreams she had buried, for the brilliant woman who now lived in constant fear. And there, in the dark, I made myself a promise. I would find a way to help her, even if she wasn't ready yet. Because a mother doesn't give up, never. 6 more months passed. 6 months of forced smiles, short calls, endless excuses. Matthew's sick. The house is a mess. Robert has plans. 6 months of not today, Mom. 6 months of maybe later. 6 months of my daughter slowly disappearing. Then one day, a message arrived. A family dinner. To celebrate Matthew's birthday. At an elegant downtown restaurant. Everyone would be there. I said yes, but something inside my chest tightened. A mother always knows when a storm is coming. She might not know how strong it will be, but she feels the wind changing. Have you ever trusted someone you SHOULDN, single quotes to have someone you loved, and they disappointed you? Tell me in the comments. I really do want to read your story. The night of the dinner came with a thin, quiet rain. Those soft drops that soak everything without making a sound. Like tears, the sky is too proud to cry loudly. I got ready carefully. The navy blue dress. A simple pearl necklace. Comfortable shoes. And, of course, my mother's handkerchief in my purse. I touched the initials with my fingertips. Give me strength, Mom, I whispered. I arrived at the restaurant 15 minutes early. I've always been punctual. My husband, Edward, loved that about me. Greater than Nerissa, he used to say, one never has to wait for you. How I missed him that night. How I needed him. The place was beautiful. White tablecloths. Silver cutlery. Candles on every table. Soft music. People speaking in low voices. I sat at the large round table by the window. From there, I could see the wet street. Cars passing, umbrellas floating by like small moving islands. I ordered a glass of water and waited. They arrived a little later. Olivia walked in, arm in arm with Robert, and my stomach twisted. She wore a beige dress with tiny flowers. Modest, childlike, not her style at all. Olivia had always loved strong colors. Modern cuts, outfits that matched her brave personality. This woman looked like she wanted to disappear into the wallpaper. Her hair was pulled back into a low bun, not a strand out of place. Her makeup was perfect, too perfect, like a mask trying to hide something. And her eyes looked empty. Mom, she greeted me, kissing my cheek. She smelled of expensive perfume. And fear. Honey, it's good to see you. I hugged her gently. Felt how sharp her bones had become underneath the dress. She had lost weight. Too much. Where's Matthew? I asked. With a sitter, Robert answered before she could speak. This is an adult dinner. He'd be restless. I said nothing, but inside, everything screamed. It's his birthday. Why isn't he here? Robert pulled out her chair. Olivia sat carefully, as if every movement needed permission. "You look beautiful, Mom," she said, forcing a smile. "So do you, honey." Lie. She looked fragile, drained. Robert sat beside her and immediately picked up his phone. Emails, messages, anything but us. Olivia stared at her hands in her lap. "How have you been, Mom?" she asked softly. "Fine. Busy with the garden. The roses are beautiful this year." "That's nice," she whispered. "You should send me pictures. You should come see them. You and Matthew. We could spend the afternoon together." She hesitated. "Yes, Mom, soon." Soon? That cursed word that almost never means anything. And you might ask, how are you asterisk? I'm fine. Busy with the house. With Matthew. Just that. For just 1 second, she lifted her eyes and looked at me. In that brief glance, I saw everything. A silent plea, a trapped scream. Then Robert lifted his head from his phone. "Olivia is perfectly fine, Nerissa," he said. "She has everything she needs. A beautiful house, a healthy son, and a husband who works hard to give her a good life." "I don't doubt that, Robert," I replied. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. His parents arrived next. Mr. Armstrong entered like he owned the place. Big voice, big ego, taking up more space than the table itself. Mrs. Susan followed behind him, eyes on the floor. Dressed in a shapeless gray dress and tired shoes. "Family," he exclaimed, opening his arms. Robert jumped up to hug him. Olivia also stood, but stayed to the side, waiting her turn like an employee, not a dog. "Olivia," Mr. Armstrong said, looking her up and down, "thinner every day. Is my son not feeding you?" "I'm fine, Mr. Armstrong," she murmured. "Good, good. Women and their diets." Mrs. Susan greeted me with a small nod. We all sat. The server arrived with menus. "Good evening. What would you like to drink while you decide?" "Double whiskey," Mr. Armstrong ordered. "And a pitcher of water with ice." "White wine for me," Robert said. "White wine for me too," I added. The server looked at Olivia. "And for you, ma'am?" She hesitated, looked at the menu, then at Robert. "White wine too?" she asked, as if asking for permission. He didn't even look at her. "Whatever you want." She took a breath. "Red wine, please." There it was. So small. So absurdly insignificant. 1 glass of wine. Robert looked up from his phone slowly. Like a predator who just saw movement. "Red wine," he repeated. "Yes, why?" "I ordered fish." "Red wine doesn't go with fish." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think. Can I change it?" "You never think." The words hit the table with the weight of stones. The server froze, notebook in hand. I tried to lighten the moment. "It doesn't matter," I said. "She can drink whatever she wants. We're not taking a sommelier exam." My voice came out thinner than I wanted. Mr. Armstrong laughed. A dry, ugly sound. "Leave it, Nerissa. He's right. Women today don't even know how to order a glass of wine. In my day, wives would first ask what their husbands were having before they dared to order anything." Mrs. Susan stared into her lap. Olivia shrank into her chair. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'll switch to white wine." "Honey, you don't have to." "White wine is fine, Mom." The server wrote quickly and walked away like a man escaping a fire. I swallowed hard and wrapped my hand around my mother's handkerchief inside my purse. My anchor. The conversation moved on. Mr. Armstrong talked about politics, business, his life, his achievements. Robert nodded in the right places, laughed at the right moments. Mrs. Susan cut her food into tiny pieces and ate like a robot. Olivia pushed salad leaves around her plate. I watched everything. How she kept her hands visible on the table like someone trying to prove they're not doing anything wrong. How she flinched every time Robert raised his voice. How her eyes jumped to her phone every few seconds, like she was waiting for an invisible signal, and then it happened again. She reached for the breadbasket. Her sleeve slid up just a little. Bruises, not just one, many. In different colors, yellow, green, purple, clear, unmistakable finger marks. My blood turned cold. Olivia. She saw my eyes move to her wrist. Immediately, she yanked the sleeve down, panic flooding her face. "It's nothing, Mom," she whispered quickly. "Please, it's nothing." Robert noticed the exchange. "Is something wrong?" he asked. "No," Olivia answered too fast. "Nothing. Everything's fine." He narrowed his eyes, then smiled. "Nerissa," he said, "more wine." "No, thank you." What I wanted was to stand up, grab my daughter, and run. Call the police. Call a lawyer. Call someone. But Olivia's eyes begged me, "Not now. Please, not now." So I stayed quiet, and I hated myself for it. The main course arrived. Fish for Robert. Chicken for Mr. Armstrong. A sad little salad for Olivia. "Just salad?" Mr. Armstrong asked. "Dieting again." "I'm not very hungry," she replied. "Women and their silly habits," he muttered, shaking his head. Mrs. Susan said nothing, just kept cutting her food into perfect little squares. Robert discussed a big project with his father. "Greater than it could be the project of my career," he said. "I hope so, son," Mr. Armstrong replied. "It's time you stop being second and start being first." "I know, Dad, I'm working on it." "Good. A man should be the best at everything, at work, at home, in life." He had no idea. The worst thing he had taught his son was exactly what was about to explode in front of all of us. "That's right. A man should be the best at everything," Mr. Armstrong said proudly. Olivia just pushed her fork through the salad, not really eating. I tried to breathe like everything was normal. And then the desserts arrived. The server came with a tray full of sweet little endings to other people's peaceful nights. "Pecan pie," Mr. Armstrong ordered. "Cheesecake," Robert said. "Nothing for me," murmured Mrs. Susan. "Just coffee," I added. The server turned to Olivia. "And for you, ma'am." "Cheesecake, please," she said softly. He nodded and walked away. A few minutes later, he returned. "Pecan pie for Mr. Armstrong, coffee for me, 2 slices of cheesecake." Except one of them wasn't cheesecake. It was pecan pie. And of course, he set that plate in front of Olivia. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "I ordered cheesecake." "Oh, I'm so sorry," the server replied. "I can change it right away." "No, it doesn't matter," she said quickly. "I can eat the pecan pie. It's fine." "Mom, seriously, it's fine," she added, almost apologizing to me for the mistake. But Robert had already raised his hand. "Excuse me," he called out. The server turned back, nervous. "Yes, sir." "Is this how you work here?" Robert asked, voice calm but dangerous. "Do you just bring whatever you feel like?" "I'm very sorry, sir. It was a mistake. My wife ordered cheesecake." Robert cut in. "Robert, it doesn't matter," Olivia whispered. "Really? I can eat the pecan pie." He turned to her. "It doesn't matter." His voice was low, controlled, and underneath it, something dark crawled. "It's just dessert, honey," he continued. "Are you always going to be such a conformist?" "I'm not being conformist," she whispered. "You always embarrass me." His voice rose. "I embarrass you." Nearby tables started to glance over. "Robert, please," Olivia begged. "People are watching. I don't care what people think." And then it happened. In one swift, brutal, shocking movement, Robert reached out and grabbed Olivia by the hair. By the hair. He yanked her head back, hard. The entire restaurant fell silent. A silence so heavy I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Olivia didn't scream. She didn't fight. She only let out a muffled sob, a sound so deep it seemed to come from somewhere ancient inside her. Tears slid down her cheeks. Her hands gripped the edge of the table, trembling. Her neck was twisted at an unnatural angle. No one moved. The server froze. Strangers stared. Mrs. Susan looked down at her plate, as if her food suddenly required her full attention. And then, cutting through that horror, came a sound I will never forget. Clapping. Mr. Armstrong slapped his open palm on the table and said, loud and proud, "That's how it's done, son. That's how it's done. She needs to know her place. A woman who doesn't respect her husband needs to be taught. Well done." Robert finally released her. Olivia collapsed back into her chair, shoulders shaking, hands covering her face, crying silently, like someone who has learned that her tears don't matter. And me? I felt something break inside my chest. Something that had been holding me in polite mother mode for years. My hands trembled. My blood was ice and fire at the same time. In my purse, I felt my mother's embroidered handkerchief. I felt Edward's presence beside me. I felt the weight of all the women in my family. The ones who kept quiet, who endured, who never had a voice. And I stood up. As I'm telling you this, I think about you wherever you are listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. I want to know how far this story reaches. I stood up, and in that moment the whole world seemed to freeze. All eyes turned to me. Diners, servers, even the manager watching from the entrance. Robert stared at me, surprised. Mr. Armstrong glared with contempt. Mrs. Susan's eyes flickered with fear. And Olivia. Olivia looked at me with pure panic. No, Mom, please don't. I could almost hear her thoughts screaming. But there was something stronger now than my daughter's fear. Something that had been growing in me for years. Since the first time I saw her eyes dim. Since the first bruise she tried to hide. Years of silence. Years of ignored signs. Years of telling myself, it's not my place to intervene. That night, that lie died. I extended my hand toward her. Honey, I said, my voice firmer than I felt inside. Stand up. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Mom, no. Stand up. Nerissa, Robert cut in. His voice calm and terrifying. I think you're misunderstanding the situation. Misunderstanding, I repeated. It was a moment of tension, nothing more. Olivia knows I sometimes get nervous. It's work stress. She understands. I looked at my daughter. She nodded. She actually nodded like a broken puppet. It's true, Mom, she whispered. It was just a difficult moment. Robert has a lot of pressure at work. I understand. You understand, my voice cracked. You understand him pulling your hair in public. Mom, please. You understand him humiliating you in front of all these people. He didn't humiliate me. Olivia. The whole restaurant held its breath. Mr. Armstrong calmly wiped his mouth with his napkin and got up. Nerissa, he said, I think you'd better calm down. You're making a scene. This is a family matter between husband and wife. We don't need your drama. Drama, I repeated. Yes, women of your generation always exaggerate. A little discipline never hurt anyone. Look at my Susan, 250 years of marriage and never a problem. Because she knows her place. I looked at Mrs. Susan. She sat there motionless, eyes lost somewhere on the tablecloth. 50 years. 50 years of swallowed words. 50 years of disappearing. And suddenly, everything made sense. I understood why Robert was the way he was. Where his cruelty dressed as courtesy came from. This violence had roots deep, old roots. Generations of men who thought they owned the women in their lives. Generations of women who were taught to stay quiet. Mr. Armstrong, I said slowly, with all due respect, you are not going to tell me how to raise my daughter or how to protect her. You don't need to protect her from her own husband, he scoffed. Oh, I don't. I walked around the table and stood beside Olivia. She tried to shrink away, but there was nowhere left to go. "Forgive me, honey," I whispered. "Mom, no." I gently took her arm and pulled up the sleeve of her dress. There they were. Bruises, yellow, green, purple. Some old, some new. Finger-shaped marks on her wrist. Pressure marks on her forearm. I lifted her arm so everyone could see. "This," I said, loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. "This is not work stress. This is not a moment of tension. This is not discipline." My voice trembled, but I didn't stop. "This is violence. This is abuse. And this will not be hidden anymore." Olivia tried to pull her arm back, sobbing. "Mom, please, you're embarrassing me," she cried. Those words cut me deeper than any knife. Embarrassing her. For exposing the truth. Robert stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "That's enough," he snapped. "We're leaving." "No," I said, steady. "Olivia is leaving with me. Olivia is my wife," he shot back. "She goes where I say." "Olivia is my daughter," I replied. "And she is not going anywhere. She's in danger." "Danger." Robert let out a dry laugh. "What danger?" "I give her a house, food, clothes, everything she needs. What more does she want? Respect, dignity, safety. I have her in a $500,000 house. That's enough respect." Mr. Armstrong jumped in. "Nerissa, you are interfering in a marriage. That is not done. Couples solve their problems at home, not in public." "And when do those problems end?" I asked. "When my daughter wakes up in a hospital bed, or when I see her in a coffin." The silence that followed was suffocating. Mrs. Susan let out a tiny, broken sound, but still didn't lift her head. "She's being dramatic," Robert said. "Dramatic." I pointed at the bruises. "Look at her arm. Look at it." "She fell," he said flatly. "She's clumsy. She's always been clumsy." Olivia immediately nodded. "It's true, Mom. I fell down the stairs. It was nothing." "And these?" I asked. "Did you fall for every mark on your body?" "Mom, please. How many times have you fallen, Olivia?" Silence. "How many?" Her lips trembled. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. And then I saw it. The thing that shattered me completely. She didn't look at me for an answer. She looked at him, at Robert, searching his face, asking for permission to speak, to exist. My brilliant girl, the one who built Bert, the one who wanted to create safe spaces for others, no longer even had a voice for herself. Robert put a hand on her shoulder. She stiffened immediately. "Honey," he said in that soft, poisonous tone. "Your mom is confused. Tell her we're fine. That we're happy." Olivia's eyes filled with guilt and apology as she looked at me. "We're fine, Mom," she whispered. "We're happy." "Honey," I asked quietly, "is that the truth?" "It is," she said. "It's not," I answered. "It is." Her voice broke. "Robert loves me. It's just that sometimes I make him angry. But he's working on it. He's going to therapy." "Therapy," I repeated. "Yes. He started 2 weeks ago. He's trying, Mom. He really is trying." I turned to Robert. He was smiling again. "See?" he said. "Everything is under control. We're handling things like responsible adults." "What kind of therapy?" I asked. "Anger management," he replied easily. "Excellent therapist. It's helped a lot." "And Olivia's arm?" I asked. "Was that before or after you started therapy?" His smile flickered just for a second. "Before. Definitely before," he said. He was lying. I could see it. But Olivia rushed to defend him. "It's true, Mom. Robert is changing. Please give him a chance." "Honey, this is not." "Mom," she cut me off, tears running down her cheeks. "I love you. But this is not your decision, it's mine. And I choose to stay with my husband, with the father of my son." Those words pierced me. even if he hurts you. I whispered. He's not hurting me, she said. Not anymore. Olivia, Mom, please, she sobbed. Just let it go, please. Mr. Armstrong started clapping slowly, sarcastically. Well, said Olivia, a woman with common sense. Not like these modern feminists trying to destroy families. I turned toward him. With all due respect, Mr. Armstrong, I said, you and your way of thinking are exactly why women like my daughter believe they deserve to be treated like this. Like what? He asked. With a roof over their head, with food on the table, with violence, with contempt, with control. That's not violence. That's marriage. Couples fight. That's how it's always been. No, I said quietly. That's how you chose to live. It's not how it has to be. Well, in my house, for 50 years, it has worked perfectly. I looked at Mrs. Susan again. She was still, like stone. But her eyes. There was no peace there. Just resignation. A quiet kind of death. In that moment, I knew I couldn't save her. It was too late. But it wasn't too late for Olivia. I turned back to my daughter and took her hands. Honey, listen to me, I said, voice shaking. Really listen. She was crying silently. I know you're afraid. I know you think you can't leave, that you have no options, that no one will understand you. Mom, but you do, I insisted. You have a home with me. You have your profession. You still have your whole life in front of you. I have a son, she cried. That's exactly why I can't leave. And what do you want Matthew to learn? I asked. That this is how a woman is treated. That this is how his mother is treated. She went pale. Robert would never hurt Matthew, she whispered. I'm not talking about hitting him, I said. I'm talking about what he sees. What he absorbs. What he will repeat. I'm not suffering, she whispered weakly. Yes, you are, I said softly. I see it in your eyes. I see it in the way you've stopped laughing. In how you've stopped dreaming. Dreams are for girls, Mom, she said. I'm a married woman, a mother. I have responsibilities. And one of those responsibilities is to endure abuse, I asked. It's not abuse. Yes, it is. My voice echoed through the restaurant. Olivia flinched. And in that instant, I knew I had lost her. At least for now. Robert stepped between us. I think that's enough for tonight, Nerissa, he said. Thank you for coming. But now Olivia and I are going home. To our son. Our family. Our family. Every word a threat. Olivia stood up. She avoided my gaze. Her hands shook as she picked up her purse. I'm sorry, Mom, she whispered. I didn't mean for this to happen. Honey, please. I'll call you tomorrow, she said. And just like that, she walked away, following him like a shadow. Mr. Armstrong tossed some bills on the table. Such a shame, you ruined a family evening, Nerissa, he said. But that's meddling mothers-in-law for you. They never know when to stay quiet. He left without waiting for a reply. Mrs. Susan stood up slowly. For a moment, our eyes met. I saw 50 years in those eyes. 50 years of fear. 50 years of what if. She opened her mouth, as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. She just turned around and followed her husband. I stayed there, alone at the table. With half-eaten plates, empty glasses, and candles burning themselves out. The server approached timidly. Ma'am, are you all right? I couldn't answer. I felt like I had just lost my daughter. Like everything I had tried to do had made things worse. Like I had torn the wound open, without being able to save her. I paid the bill, left a tip, walked out. The rain had stopped. The air smelled like wet earth. And something else. Disappointment, fear, maybe both. I reached my car and sat behind the wheel without starting it. I took my mother's handkerchief out of my purse and pressed it to my chest. And I cried. I cried for my daughter. for her lost courage, for her buried dreams, for the fear that now lived permanently in her eyes. And I cried for myself, for not seeing it sooner, for not acting sooner, for ever believing that a man's love would be enough to protect her. But love doesn't protect when it comes with fists. Love doesn't save when it comes with control. Love doesn't heal when it comes wrapped in fear. I drove home in silence, empty streets, city lights flickering like tired stars. I arrived at my house, the house where Olivia took her first steps, where she drew her first imaginary houses on the garage walls, the place I thought would always be her refuge. That night, it became something else. It became a battlefield map. Because I finally understood. This wasn't just marriage problems. This was war. And my daughter didn't even know she was in the middle of it. I walked into my house and the silence hit me like a wall. No TV. No kettle whistling. No Matthew's laughter. Just silence. Too much silence. I turned on the lights. Put water on for tea. Sat at the kitchen table and placed my mother's embroidered handkerchief in front of me, like a little flag of surrender. My phone buzzed. A message from Olivia. "Mom, I'm sorry. Please don't worry. I'm fine. I love you." My fingers flew over the screen. "Honey, my house is always open for you. Always. Anytime. I love you." I watched the 3 dots appear. Typing, thinking. Then they disappeared. No reply. That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe, asking myself the same questions over and over. What else can I do? How do you save someone who doesn't want to be saved yet? How do I make her see that she deserves more than this? That she deserves real love, peace, a life without fear. But victims of violence don't see what we see. They see hope where there is danger. They see love where there is control. They imagine a future where all we see are repeated cycles. And sometimes, no matter how much we want to drag them out, they have to hit rock bottom before they find the strength to climb up. That night, watching the shadows on my ceiling, I knew the road ahead would be long. More dinners, more lies, more bruises hidden under long sleeves. But I also knew one thing with absolute certainty. I wasn't going to give up. I would stay. I would wait. Because a mother doesn't abandon, ever. When my daughter was finally ready to say, "Mom, help me," I would be there. With open arms. With a safe house. With love that doesn't come with conditions. The phone vibrated again. Another message from Olivia. "Mom, please don't call the police. Please, it'll only make things worse. Trust me, Robert is better. I promise, asterisk." My hands trembled. Call the police and risk her cutting me off completely. Respect her wish and risk something unforgivable happening. I chose a third option. Greater than, asterisk, "I won't call anyone without your permission. Asterisk, greater than, asterisk, but I need you to promise me something. Asterisk, call me every day, just so I know you're okay. Can you do that for me?" The 3 dots appeared again. This time they stayed. Greater than, asterisk, "Okay, Mom, I'll call you. I promise, asterisk." I closed my eyes. It wasn't enough. But it was something, a thread, thin, fragile, but still a connection. And I swore I wouldn't let go of that thread. Not for anything in the world. Even if I had to wait years. Even if I had to watch her suffer. Even if I had to bite my tongue until it bled. Because that's what mothers do. We hold the last thread when everything else has already broken. I still ask myself if I did the right thing. And you? What would you have done in my place? The days that followed were the longest of my life. Every morning I woke up with my heart in my throat and my eyes on my phone. Did she write? Is she alive? Is she safe? Sometimes her message would arrive at 7 a.m. Asterisk, "Good morning, Mom, all good. I love you." Asterisk. Other days, nothing until 11 or 12. Those hours of waiting were torture. Asterisk, is she hurt? Asterisk, did he hit her again? Asterisk, did he finally cross that line you don't come back from? Her texts were always short, cold, empty, written like someone was watching over her shoulder. And I knew. He probably was. Whenever I tried to call, she didn't answer. Greater than asterisk, sorry mom. Matthew's crying. I'll text you later, asterisk. Asterisk, sorry, mom. Busy with the house. Talk later, asterisk. Greater than asterisk, sorry, mom. Robert and I have plans. I'll call you tomorrow, asterisk. There was always a reason, always an excuse, and I knew they weren't hers. 2 weeks went by like that. 2 weeks of cold messages and unanswered calls. 2 weeks of hugging my mother's handkerchief like a life jacket. Finally, I made an appointment with a lawyer who specialized in domestic violence. Her name was Patricia. Tired eyes, firm hands, calm voice. Is your daughter willing to press charges? She asked. No. Do you have evidence? Photos, messages, witnesses. The bruises on her body. What he did at the restaurant, people saw, but will any of them testify? I had no answer. Narissa, Patricia said gently but firmly, I understand your pain. I've seen hundreds of cases like this. But without your daughter's cooperation, legally you can't do much. So what do? I snapped. Wait until she ends up in a hospital. Or worse. No, she said quietly. You wait until she's ready. In the meantime, you stay connected. You let her know she has options, that she has support. And when she decides to leave, and that day usually comes, you'll be there to catch her. And if that day never comes, I whispered. Patricia looked at me with a mix of compassion and brutal honesty. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you pressure her too much, you push her further away. The control he has over her is psychological. She needs to feel that she is making the decision. Even if her decision, for now, is to stay. How am I supposed to stand by and do nothing? You're not doing nothing, she replied. You're preparing. Preparing for what? For the day she runs, Patricia said. Save every message. Keep record. If you see new bruises, take photographs. Look for witnesses. And above all, stay close. Because when she leaves, it will likely be sudden. And she needs you ready. I left her office with a folder full of papers, restraining orders, shelters, hotlines, legal protocols, and a weight in my chest I can't describe. Because all of it depended on one thing. Olivia saying, I need help. And she wasn't there yet. 3 weeks after the restaurant incident, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to go to her house unannounced. I knew Robert usually worked late on Thursdays. It was the only chance to see her alone. I drove to their beautiful prison. 2 stories, perfect lawn, little fountain at the entrance. The kind of house that looks perfect on magazine covers. From the outside. I rang the doorbell. Nothing. I rang again. Silence. I was about to leave when I heard hurried footsteps. The door opened just a crack. Olivia's face appeared in the gap. Mom, what are you doing here? She whispered, eyes wide. I came to see you. Can I come in? She hesitated. Robert's not here. I know, I said. That's why I came. She glanced over her shoulder, like someone might be listening. It's not a good time, Mom. Olivia, please. I just want to see you, talk to you. 5 minutes. Her eyes filled with tears. Mom, please. She finally opened the door. I stepped inside quickly before she could change her mind. The house was spotless, too spotless. Like a museum. Everything in its place. No toys on the floor, no cups on the table, no sign of life. The curtains were drawn even though the sun was shining outside. The living room felt dark, cold. Where's Matthew? I asked. Sleeping. His nap. Can I see him? Better not. If we wake him, he'll be grumpy all afternoon. We sat in the living room. She sat on the edge of the sofa, hands clenched in her lap, body rigid. "How have you been?" I asked. "Fine," she said. "Really?" "Yes, Mom, really." But her voice shook. She was wearing a turtleneck sweater, despite the heat, and long pants. Her hair pulled back tight, no loose strands. Covering herself. Always covering herself. "Honey," I said gently, "I need you to tell me the truth. I am telling you the truth. Has Robert hurt you again?" She froze. "No, Mom, I already told you. He's going to therapy. He's better." "Then why are you scared of me being here?" "I'm not scared." "Yes, you are. I can see it." She jumped to her feet. "I think it's better if you leave." "Olivia, wait." "No, Mom. You can't just show up here. Robert will get angry." "And what if he does?" She looked at me, eyes blazing with panic. "Because I live with him," she said, her voice breaking. "Because I'm the one who has to deal with him after you." Her words hit me like blows. "Honey, I just want to help you." "Well, you're not," she snapped. "You're making everything harder." "Harder than what?" I asked, quietly. "Harder than living in fear." "I don't live in fear." "You're trembling right now," I whispered. She wrapped her arms around herself. "Go, Mom, please, before Robert comes home. He won't be home for hours." "You don't know that," she said quickly. "Sometimes he comes back early. Sometimes he checks the cameras." I froze. "Cameras," I repeated. She went pale. "It's nothing. Forget it." "What cameras, Olivia?" "They're just security cameras," she said too fast to protect the house. "Where are they?" I asked. "Mom, leave it." "Where?" I insisted. She nodded toward the corners of the room. I looked up and saw them. Small, discreet cameras watching everything. "How many are there?" I whispered. "I don't know. Several." "In the whole house?" She didn't answer. "In the bedroom, too." Silence. "My God, Olivia." "It's normal, Mom," she said defensively. "Lots of houses have cameras. He checks them sometimes to protect us." "That's not protection," I said. "That's control." "Stop," she shouted. "Stop telling me what my marriage is like. You don't understand anything." Her scream woke Matthew. We heard him crying upstairs. Olivia pressed her hands to her face. "Look what you did," she choked. "You woke him up. Just go, Mom, please, leave." She ran upstairs. I stayed alone in that dark living room, staring at the cameras in the corners. Little electronic eyes watching everything. All the time. My daughter didn't live in a home. She lived in a high-end prison. Beautiful walls. Invisible bars. I heard her voice upstairs calming Matthew. That soft, gentle voice I remembered from before. The only part of her that still sounded like my Olivia. I wanted to go up. To hold her. To drag her out of there. But Patricia's words echoed in my mind. "If you pressure her too much, you push her further away." So I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I left. I walked out of that house, got into my car, closed the door, and I cried. I cried with rage. With helplessness. With a pain so deep it felt like my chest was being torn open. My phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. I opened it. It was a video from the security cameras in Olivia's house. In it, I was sitting in the living room, crying. Underneath, a message from Robert. "Narissa, I appreciate your concern for your daughter. Greater than..." But these unannounced visits upset Olivia a lot. They make her nervous. They cause her stress. For the sake of her mental health, I ask that you only come when invited. I hope you understand. Regards. My blood ran cold. He had been watching me. He knew exactly when I arrived, how long I stayed, what I did, and this message was polite, educated, reasonable, and a threat. I didn't reply. I deleted the message, but I couldn't delete the fear it left behind. I drove home on autopilot, thoughts racing so fast I could barely breathe. Once home, I locked the door, closed all the curtains, sat at the kitchen table with my mother's handkerchief clenched in my fists. "What do I do, Mom?" I whispered into the empty room. "What do I do when my daughter is trapped and I can't reach her?" Silence answered. That night, instead of sleeping, I researched surveillance cameras, coercive control, technological abuse, stories of women watched 24 hours a day, who couldn't leave without permission, who couldn't speak freely, who had their phones, messages, movements monitored. And all the stories ended the same way. They either escaped or they died. There was no middle ground. The next days were hell. Olivia kept sending her daily messages. But now I knew. They probably passed through Robert's eyes before reaching mine. Whenever I called, she didn't answer. When I suggested we meet in a cafe or a park, she always replied, greater than, "I can't right now, Mom. Matthew's sick." "I can't, Mom. I have things to do." "I can't, Mom. Robert and I have couples therapy." There was always some reason, always a wall. Then, 1 week later, my phone rang. Unknown number. My heart jumped. "Hello, this is Nora." A young, nervous voice answered. "Mrs. Caldwell. My name is Andrea. I was Matthew's sitter." My pulse spiked. I repeated. "What do you mean, was?" "Robert fired me a week ago," she said, "because I saw something I shouldn't have seen." My throat dried. "What did you see?" I asked. "I can't talk about it on the phone," she whispered. "Can we meet? I have something to show you." "Yes," I said immediately. "Anywhere, anytime." We agreed on a little coffee shop across town, far from Olivia's neighborhood. I got there 30 minutes early, ordered a coffee I didn't drink. I just waited, stomach in knots. Andrea arrived right on time. A thin girl in her 20s, brown hair in a braid, eyes full of fear. She sat in front of me, looking around as if someone might also be watching her. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. "Thank you for calling," I replied. "How did you get my number?" "Olivia gave it to me months ago," she said. "She told me that if anything ever happened, anything serious, I should call you." My heart stopped. "What happened, Andrea?" She took out her phone. Her hands were shaken. "I watched Matthew 3 times a week," she began. "Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Robert worked. Olivia needed help. They seemed normal. Nice house. Good pay. Nothing strange. Until," I whispered. "Until 2 weeks ago," she said. I arrived early that Thursday. I rang the bell. No one answered. I had an emergency key, so I let myself in. She swallowed hard. I heard shouting upstairs. She continued, voice cracking. It was Daniel's voice screaming in the background. Insults. Poison. Calling Rachel useless. Telling her she wasn't good for anything. Saying any other woman would be a better wife and mother than her. And Rachel. Andrea's voice shook. She was crying. Just saying "I'm sorry" over and over. Asterisk "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Asterisk. Tears burned my eyes. I went upstairs, Andrea continued. "I know I shouldn't have, but I was scared." She swallowed. The bedroom door was open. And I saw him. "What did you see?" I whispered. She turned her phone toward me. The photo was a little blurry, taken in a rush from the hallway, but it was clear enough. Daniel had Rachel pinned against the wall. One hand around her throat, the other raised, ready to strike. Rachel's eyes were closed, hands up in a helpless attempt to protect herself. And in the corner of the room, on his little bed, sat Ethan, just watching. A 3-year-old boy, watching his father abuse his mother. The world tilted under me. "Did he see you?" I managed to ask. "Yes," she said. "He saw me take the picture." He let go of Rachel right away. She wiped her nose. Then he came downstairs like nothing had happened. He told me they'd just had an argument. That it was a asterisk marital matter, asterisk, not my business. And what did you say? I told him I was going to call the police, Andrea replied. He laughed. He said no one would believe me, that it was my word against his, that Rachel would deny everything, and if I tried anything, he'd sue me for defamation. My stomach twisted. Did you call the police? I asked. She lowered her eyes. No, because Rachel came downstairs. I asked her if she was okay, if she needed help, if she wanted me to call someone. Andrea's voice broke. She said no. She said everything was fine. That they'd just argued, but it was asterisk resolved asterisk. And then she asked me to leave. That they didn't need my services anymore. Rachel fired you. No, Daniel did. But she didn't say a word. She just stood there with red marks on her neck, telling me everything was fine. Andrea slid her phone toward me. This photo is yours, she whispered. Do whatever you have to do with it. I tried to help. But I can't do more. I'm scared of him. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone. I stared at the image again, my daughter against the wall. Hands raised, waiting for the blow. And my grandson watching it all, learning it. Can I send this photo to myself? I asked. She nodded. That's why I brought it. I forwarded the photo to my phone and immediately deleted the message from hers. Andrea, I said quietly, would you be willing to testify? If this goes to court, would you tell them what you saw? She went pale. I don't know. He threatened me. He said he has powerful lawyers, that he'd ruin me. I understand, I said, but if it became necessary, would you at least consider it? She thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. If it helps Rachel, she said, yes, I would. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for calling me, for trusting me. Rachel is a good woman. She doesn't deserve this. No one does, Andrea replied. She stood up to leave. Then turned back. One more thing, she added. Ethan, he started having nightmares. Rachel told me he wakes up crying every night, screaming that he's scared. Scared of what? I asked. She hesitated. Of his daddy, she said softly. Those two words shattered me. Andrea left. I stayed sitting in that cafe, staring at the photograph glowing on my phone. It wasn't just proof anymore. It was a wound. This wasn't marital conflict. It wasn't stress. It wasn't a bad moment. It was systematic violence. This was abuse. And now it wasn't just destroying my daughter. It was shaping my grandson. I called Patricia, the lawyer. I have evidence, I said as soon as she answered. What kind of evidence? She asked. A photo of Daniel assaulting Rachel, I replied. And a witness, the babysitter who saw it happen. On the other end, Patricia exhaled. That changes things, she said. Does Rachel know you have this? No. Margaret, you need to tell her. She has to agree to use it. And if she doesn't, then legally, we still can't do much, Patricia said gently. The victim has to want to leave. But my grandson. I know, she interrupted. I really do. But without the mother's cooperation, it's very difficult to intervene in court. Frustration boiled inside me. I hung up and spent that night doing the only thing I could do, staring at that photograph, over and over, until I could see it with my eyes closed. My daughter pressed against the wall, hands raised, face twisted in fear, and my grandson sitting nearby, learning in silence what love looks like in that house. 3 days passed after my meeting with Andrea. 3 days in which that photo burned inside my phone like a radioactive secret. 3 days in which every time I closed my eyes, I saw that scene. Rachel's daily messages still arrived right on schedule. Greater than asterisk, good morning, Mom, all good, asterisk. But now I knew what all good meant in her world. It meant, asterisk, I survived another day, asterisk, asterisk, I didn't provoke him, asterisk, asterisk, I managed to stay small, invisible, harmless, asterisk. On Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Rachel. For the first time in weeks, she was actually calling, not just texting. I answered before the second ring. Honey? Mom. Her voice sounded strange, tight, controlled. Can you come over tomorrow? My heart started pounding. Tomorrow? I asked, why? Daniel wants to talk to you, she said. He thinks we should clear things up. He says there have been misunderstandings. He wants to have a civilized conversation. My stomach turned to stone. Rachel, I said slowly, do you want me to go? Or, is he making you call me? Silence. Rachel, just come, Mom, she said finally, please. There was something in her voice. Something that made my skin crawl. Are you okay? I asked. Yes, she replied too quickly. Just come tomorrow at 10 a.m., can you? Yes, I said. I'll be there. Thank you, Mom. I love you. She hung up before I could answer. I stared at the screen, that bad feeling in my chest, growing heavier and heavier. Why did Daniel want to see me? Did he know about the photo? Did he know about Andrea? Or was this something worse? I called Patricia. Don't go alone, she said immediately. If you go, take someone with you, and keep your phone recording if you can. You think it could be dangerous? I asked. Margaret, she said quietly. A man who strangles his wife and then convinces her it was her fault is capable of anything. Be careful. That night, I prepared for war. I charged my phone to 100%. Downloaded a discreet audio recording app. Gave my friend Carmen the address and strict instructions. Call me at 11 a.m., I told her. If I don't answer, call the police. Margaret, you're scaring me, she said. Just do it, I replied. Please. I barely slept. When I did drift off, I dreamed of Rachel as a little girl. Building that birdhouse in the garage. Asterisk birds need a safe place too, Mom, asterisk she used to say. But in the dream, when I looked inside the birdhouse, it was empty. The birds had left, or never dared to enter. Saturday morning arrived, gray and heavy, as if the sky already knew what was coming. I got dressed carefully, comfortable but dignified clothes. I slipped my mother's embroidered handkerchief into my purse, checked my phone, and drove to Rachel's house. I arrived at exactly 10 a.m. The lawn was perfect, as always. The flowers perfectly aligned. The grass freshly cut. Everything so ordered. So controlled. Just like my daughter's life. I rang the doorbell. Daniel opened the door. Immaculate white shirt. Dress pants. Polite smile that never reached his eyes. Margaret, he said warmly. Thank you for coming. Please, come in. His courtesy made every hair on my arms stand up. I walked inside. The house was dim again, curtains closed, lights low. No child's laughter. No cartoons playing. Just silence. Rachel was sitting in the living room, wearing a gray turtleneck and black pants, her hair pulled back, face bare. She looked like a ghost. Hi, Mom, she said without standing up. Honey. I sat opposite her. Daniel sat down right next to her, too close. His arms stretched along the back of the sofa in a quiet gesture of possession. Where's Ethan? I asked. With my parents, Daniel replied smoothly. We thought it would be better to talk without distractions. I nodded slowly. Inside my purse, I quietly started the audio recording. Very well, Daniel said, crossing his legs with studied calm. Margaret, we asked you here because... And I braced myself. Daniel folded his hands calmly. Margaret, we called you today because I believe there's been a series of misunderstandings between us. Misunderstandings. I repeated. Yes, he continued smoothly. I know what you saw at the restaurant disturbed you. And I understand why. From the outside, it may have looked bad, but appearances can be deceiving. It didn't look like an appearance, I said quietly. It looked like violence. It was an unfortunate moment, he replied. I was under a lot of stress. Rachel and I had been arguing all week, and I snapped. I admit that. But I've been working on myself. So I've been told. He nodded proudly. You see? I'm aware of my issues. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to be better. But I need you to give us space. Space to resolve our marriage without external interference. Asterisk, external interference. Asterisk. He meant asterisk me, asterisk. Your unannounced visit 2 weeks ago upset Rachel deeply, he said. It left her emotionally fragile. And when she's upset, everything in the house becomes unstable. I looked at my daughter. Rachel, is that true? She didn't lift her head. Her eyes stayed glued to her hands. Yes, Mom, she whispered. When you came, it was difficult. Difficult, how? She hesitated. Daniel got angry. We argued. It was complicated. Did he hurt you? I asked softly. Mom, she whispered, shaking her head. Please. Rachel, answer me. Daniel cut in, voice clipped but controlled. Margaret, these accusations are very serious and extremely unfair. I would never intentionally hurt my wife. She is the mother of my son. I love her. Love doesn't leave marks, I said. The marks you saw were from an accident, Daniel replied quickly. She slipped on the stairs, grabbed the railing. That's how she bruised her wrist. That's not true. Yes, it is, Rachel said immediately, panicked. I slipped, Mom. It was my fault. I was wearing socks. The floor had just been waxed. Honey, I whispered, please don't lie to me. I'm not lying, she cried. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. She tensed but didn't pull away. See, Margaret? He said softly. Your accusations hurt her. You make her feel like you don't trust her. Like you think she's incapable of managing her own life. That's not what I think, I said. I think she's in danger. Danger? Daniel laughed. Look around. This home is worth over $1 million. Rachel has everything she needs: clothes, food, safety. I work 60 hours a week to give her this life. Does this look like danger to you? Danger isn't always financial. Then what is it? He asked. Psychological, emotional. He shook his head. Margaret, she is fine. She's happy. She has a family. Why do you insist on creating problems where there are none? Because I saw the bruises. I saw you pull her hair. And I saw the fear in her eyes, not of me. Of you. Rachel flinched. Daniel leaned forward. The fear she feels, he said, is fear of your judgment. Fear that your interference will destroy the harmony of our home. His words stung like acid. I turned to Rachel. Is that true? Are you afraid of me? She sobbed silently. I just want peace, Mom, she whispered. That's all. And do you have peace? Silence. Daniel stood up and walked to the window, hands in his pockets. When he spoke again, his voice was sharp. Margaret, let me be very clear. I appreciate that you love your daughter, but you are interfering in my marriage. You're causing problems. And if you don't stop, or what? He turned slowly. Or I will take legal measures to protect my family. Are you threatening me? I asked. I'm informing you, he said coldly. If you continue visiting unannounced, calling excessively, or spreading lies about me, I'll file a restraining order. A restraining order? Against her mother. If necessary, he replied. For Rachel's emotional well-being. And this is ridiculous. Is it? He asked. A judge could easily see your behavior as harassment. I'm her husband. Legally, I have more rights over my family than you do. Rage crawled up my throat, but I forced myself to stay calm. I ignored Daniel and looked at my daughter. Rachel, I whispered. Look at me. She slowly raised her eyes. They were red, swollen, empty. Honey, I said, I'm going to ask you something, and I need the truth. Is this what you want? Or is he making you say it? Mom, she whispered, answer me. Do you want me out of your life? Tears rolled down her face. I don't want you to suffer, Mom, or worry about me. That's not the question. It's the only answer I can give you, she sobbed. And in that cry, I heard everything. Fear, resignation, defeat. My daughter was trapped, and she knew it. But she was choosing silence to protect me. Choosing sacrifice to keep the peace, Daniel demanded. Daniel sat beside her again. I think that settles it, Margaret. If Rachel wants to see you, she'll call. No more surprise visits. No more frantic calls. Give us space to fix our marriage. And if I don't, I asked. Then we'll meet in court, he said flatly. He stood. The meeting was over. But I didn't move. Daniel, I said quietly, there's something you should know. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what's that? I took out my phone, opened the photograph Andrea had given me, turned it toward them. Rachel's face drained of color. Daniel's expression didn't move, but his eyes did. This time, even he couldn't hide the truth. This, I said, voice steady, is not an accident. And not stress. This is assault. And I have a witness who saw the entire thing. Silence filled the room like a storm cloud. Daniel stared at the photo. Then at Rachel. Then at me. And he smiled. That cold, calculated smile that made my skin crawl. Margaret, are you trying to blackmail me? I'm showing you the truth. The truth, he repeated, laughing under his breath. This photo is an invasion of privacy. Whoever took it was trespassing. That's illegal. Andrea had a key, I said. She had permission. Daniel shrugged. She was fired for theft. Anything she says will be discredited. She stole money. I turned to Rachel. You didn't tell me that. Rachel just cried harder. Yes, Daniel said smoothly. She stole money from my wallet. When I confronted her, she invented this ridiculous story for revenge. It's her word against mine. Who do you think a judge will believe? The evidence. What evidence? He said. A blurry photo with no context. Nothing proving when or where it happened. He leaned forward. If you take this anywhere, I will destroy her legally. And I'll sue *you* for defamation. Do it, I said. I don't care. You don't. He sneered. What about Rachel? You want her dragged into a public trial? Want her private life splashed across the newspapers? Her reputation shattered? You want that for your daughter? I looked at Rachel. She was shaking her head, terrified. Mom, no, she cried. Please don't, please, honey. She stood up suddenly. Delete it, she begged. Delete it now. Rachel, this is evidence. I don't care. She screamed. I don't want anyone to see it. I don't want this to go anywhere. I just want it all to stop. She collapsed onto the sofa, sobbing uncontrollably. Daniel wrapped an arm around her shoulders. She let him, like a broken doll. See, Margaret, he said softly, you're hurting her more than I ever could. His words sank into me like poison. Was he right? Was my fight causing her more pain? I looked down at the photograph glowing on my phone. Then at my daughter destroyed. And I made a decision. All right, I said quietly. I won't show this picture. For now. Daniel's victorious smile spread instantly. I knew you'd come to your senses. But, I continued, raising my voice, I'm not deleting it. His smile vanished. In fact, I'm going to keep it. And listen to me carefully. If anything happens to Rachel, if she shows up with one more bruise, if she ends up in a hospital, if anything at all happens, this photo goes straight to the police. And to the press. Everywhere. Daniel's face hardened. That sounds like a threat. No, I said. It's a promise. We stared at each other across the room. Two people fighting for the same woman, but with completely opposite intentions. Daniel wanted to possess her. I wanted to free her. Leave, he said finally, pointing toward the door. And don't come back. If Rachel wants to see you, she will decide when and where. I stood slowly, slipped my phone into my purse, and walked to my daughter. I knelt beside her. Rachel, honey, look at me. She lifted her face. Her eyes were red, swollen, defeated. Listen to me carefully, I whispered. No matter how much time passes, no matter what he says, no matter what happens between us, my house will always always be open for you. Her lips trembled. You can come any time, day or night, with Ethan or without him, and I will be there. Do you understand? She nodded, barely. I love you, I said. I love you too, Mom, she whispered. I hugged her, her fragile bones, her shaking shoulders, her soul that felt shattered beneath my hands. And then, I did the hardest thing a mother can do. I left her there, with him. I walked out of that house with a heart that felt like it had been torn open. When I climbed into my car, I shut the door, wiped my face, and immediately checked the recording on my phone. It had worked. Every word, every threat, every manipulation. I didn't have photographic evidence that would hold up in court. But I had his voice, his own admissions, his coercion, his attempts to isolate her. It wasn't enough. But it was something. I drove home through tears. That night, sitting alone in my kitchen with my mother's embroidered handkerchief on the table, I understood something with painful clarity. I couldn't save Rachel. Not yet. Only she could save herself. I could just, prepare, be ready. Ready for the moment she finally decided she deserved to breathe again. Ready with love. Ready with evidence. Ready with a home. I had to trust that the girl who built birth, the girl who believed every creature deserved a safe place, still existed inside her. Trust that one day, she would build a safe place for herself too. The months that followed were the darkest of my life. After that meeting, Rachel's messages became fewer, shorter, colder. Sometimes 2-3 days passed with nothing. When she finally texted, it was always the same. Hello, Mom. All good, busy. Can't talk. I knew exactly what was happening. Daniel was cutting the last threads between us, isolating her, suffocating her, making sure she had no one to run to. I called, straight to voicemail. I visited. No one opened the door. It felt like my daughter had vanished. Alive, but unreachable. Lost inside a house that had become her prison. December arrived, harsh, wet, unforgiving. The holidays approached, days we always spent together. I sent her a message. Honey, please come to Christmas Eve dinner. You, Daniel, and Ethan. I'll cook your favorite. Please, 2 days later, she replied, greater than, thanks, Mom. We already have plans with Daniel's family. Maybe New Year's. New Year's came. She didn't show up, didn't call, only a text at 11 p.m. Happy New Year, Mom, I love you. I sat alone at midnight, staring at old photos. Rachel laughing at age 5. Rachel graduating high school. Rachel walking down the aisle, glowing. When did it break? When did I lose her? At what moment did she slip away into a world I couldn't reach? January brought a cold so sharp it felt like needles on my skin. And then came the call. A call that shattered everything. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the garden, pruning the roses, Rachel's favorite. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. I wish I didn't recognize the feeling that made me pick it up. Hello, is this Margaret Caldwell? A woman's voice. Professional. Steady. Yes, this is she. This is Dr. Mendez from General Hospital. Your daughter, Rachel, was admitted this morning. The world stopped. What? I whispered. Is she okay? What happened? What about my grandson? Your daughter is stable, the doctor said. But we need you to come immediately. Is Ethan all right? The child is safe. He is with Child Protective Services for the moment, but we need to speak with you. I'm coming, I said, already running for my car. I don't remember the drive. Just my heartbeat. Hammering. Breaking. General Hospital. Floor 3. Room 312. I couldn't wait for the elevator. I ran up the stairs, panting, shaking. Nurse, I gasped at the desk. Rachel Caldwell. I'm her mother. The nurse's face softened. Room 312. Dr. Mendez is waiting. I walked down the cold white hallway, as if moving underwater. A woman in a lab coat stood outside the room, holding a chart. Dr. Mendez, I asked. She looked up, gray hair, tired eyes, steady hands. Mrs. Caldwell, she said gently. Please, come with me. What happened? I begged. Where is my daughter? She's asleep, Dr. Mendez said. We had to sedate her. She arrived. Very distressed. What happened to her? My voice cracked. The doctor gestured toward a small waiting room. We stepped inside. She closed the door. Your daughter was brought in by neighbors, she said. They heard screaming early this morning. When they went outside, they found her in the yard, barefoot, holding her son, and bleeding. My knees almost buckled. She has a fracture in her left wrist, the doctor continued quietly. Contusions on her face, bruises across her body, some fresh, some weeks old. She hesitated. And marks on her neck. My breath stopped. Marks consistent with manual strangulation. I closed my eyes. Did he try to kill her? I cannot make legal statements, Dr. Mendez said. But yes, the injuries indicate someone attempted to choke her. Another minute, and she didn't finish. Tears streamed down my face. Can I see her? Yes, she said softly. But she won't wake for a while. I walked into the room. Does she know? I asked Dr. Mendez, barely hearing my own voice. I'm not sure, she replied gently. When Rachel arrived, she was in shock. She wasn't speaking coherently. She kept repeating, "Protect Ethan. Protect Ethan." My heart clenched. Where is he now? With Child Protective Services temporarily, he is physically unharmed, but he will need psychological evaluation. A pause. He witnessed the incident. My breath caught. What incident? What exactly happened? Dr. Mendez handed me the report. According to the neighbors, at around 6 a.m., they heard screaming. Daniel shouting, Rachel pleading, Ethan crying. They called the police. But before officers arrived, Rachel ran out of the house barefoot, bleeding, clutching Ethan to her chest. Screaming, "Help me, please. He's going to kill me." The neighbors pulled her inside, locked the door. Minutes later, Daniel came out. He pounded on the neighbor's door, demanding Rachel and Ethan back. Greater than, "They are my family. You have no right to interfere." The neighbors refused. The police arrived. Daniel, calm, polite, smiling, claimed it was a marital disagreement. That Rachel was unstable, hysterical, overreacting. But the marks on her neck, the bruises, the terror, they spoke louder than his lies. They arrested him right there. Charges, I whispered. Aggravated domestic assault, she said. An attempted homicide. I swallowed. Where is he now? In custody. His bail hearing is tomorrow. He cannot approach her. We've filed for an emergency restraining order. Relief flickered through me, but only for a second. We need Rachel to press charges. Dr. Mendez continued. We need her testimony. She will, I said without hesitation. I'll make sure she does. The doctor looked at me with sad, knowing eyes. Mrs. Caldwell, many victims withdraw charges, especially when children are involved. Add a pregnancy, and the pressure is enormous. My jaw tightened. This time is different. I said. He almost killed her. I know, she said softly. But this pattern of abuse, it includes apologies, tears, promises, manipulation. Many victims go back. My daughter won't, I whispered. I hope you're right. I stayed at the hospital that night. I couldn't leave her alone. I sat in the uncomfortable chair beside her bed, listening to the steady rhythm of the monitors. She looked so small, wrapped in bandages and bruises, but she was alive. And as long as she was alive, there was hope. Around 3 a.m., she began to stir. Soft whimpers, fragmented whispers. No, please, Ethan, protect Ethan. I moved closer. Rachel, sweetheart, you're safe. I'm here. Her eyelids fluttered. Mom, she whispered, dazed. Yes, honey. It's me. Where am I? You're in the hospital. You're safe. She tried to sit up, but winced in agony. Easy, I soothed. You fractured your wrist. Her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, she choked out. Where's Ethan? He's fine, I said, squeezing her hand. He's safe. CPS is watching him for now. And Daniel? In jail, I said firmly. She closed her eyes, tears sliding down. I'm sorry, Mom, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. No, honey, I whispered. Don't you dare apologize. None of this is your fault. She shook her head weakly. I should have listened. I should have left sooner. I thought I could fix it. I thought if I were a better wife, if I just didn't provoke him. Rachel, I said firmly, nothing you did or didn't do justifies what he did. Nothing. She broke. He tried to kill me, Mom. I held my breath. This morning, she said through sobs, I told him I was pregnant, and he lost control. He said he didn't want another child, that he couldn't control me with one already. That too would make it impossible. Her voice cracked like glass. And then, he grabbed me by the neck. My stomach twisted. I felt his fingers. I couldn't breathe. I saw black spots. Ethan was screaming. And all I could think was asterisk. My children are going to grow up without a mother. They're going to think this is normal. They're going to repeat the cycle. Asterisk, SSHH, I whispered, stroking her hair. But you didn't die. You survived. He let go, she said shakily. I don't know why. Maybe Ethan's scream scared him. But I knew if I didn't leave right then, I was going to die. Maybe not today, but soon. You did the right thing, sweetheart. I grabbed Ethan and ran. No shoes, I just ran. He chased us, screaming that he'd take my children, that he'd destroy me. He can't touch you now, I said. He's behind bars. There's a restraining order. She looked at me with terrified eyes. What if he gets out? He won't, I said, even though fear pricked my spine. And even if he does, I will protect you. You're coming home with me. You, Ethan, and the baby. She blinked. You know about the baby. The doctor told me. Fresh tears spilled over. I don't know if I can do this, Mom, she whispered. I don't know if I can bring another child into this world. Not after everything Ethan has seen. Ethan will heal, I said softly. You will heal. We'll heal together. As a family. Her fingers tightened around my hand. Do you really believe that? Yes, honey, I said. I do. The prosecutor began. Your Honor, the defendant attempted to strangle his pregnant wife in front of their 3-year-old son. This was not a moment of stress. This was a homicide attempt. We strongly request that he be denied bail. Then Daniel's lawyer stood polished.com, expensive. Your Honor, my client is a respected engineer with strong community ties. This was an isolated incident. He is fully willing to attend therapy and follow any condition the court imposes. Keeping him detained would be excessive. The prosecutor snapped back immediately. Isolated. We have photographs of old injuries, recordings of threats, and a witness. The victim nearly died. This is systematic abuse. The room held its breath. Finally, the judge spoke. I have reviewed the file. The evidence is disturbing. The marks indicate lethal intent. My heart hammered. But, he continued, the defendant has no prior criminal record. Therefore, I am setting bail at $500,000 with mandatory conditions. Electronic ankle monitor. Restraining order of 500 meters. No contact with the victim or children. Surrender of passport. Mandatory therapy. My hands went cold. $500,000 meant nothing to the Armstrong family. He'd be out soon. The prosecutor objected, but the judge dismissed it. The gavel struck. Next case. I left the courthouse shaking. He was getting out. And once he did, he would come after her if, not physically, then legally, psychologically, financially. I ran to the hospital. Rachel saw my face and knew instantly. They gave him bail. Yes. How much? $500,000. She swallowed hard. His father can pay that before dinner. I know. Her good hand drifted instinctively to her abdomen. How long do we have? I don't know. Days, maybe a week. She inhaled sharply. Then we need to move. Fast. Move? Yes, Mom. I need to get out of here. I need to get Ethan back. I need to leave before Daniel walks free. Sweetheart, you're still hospitalized. I don't care. I can't stay another night knowing he might be out tomorrow. She looked at me with that fire again. You said your house was always open to me. And it is, I said, choking up. Of course it is. Then take me home, Mom, please. I spoke with Dr. Mendez. Medically, she said, she should stay 2 more days. But given the circumstances, if she signs a release form, I can discharge her today. With strict rest. I'll sign it, Rachel said before she even finished the sentence. And she did. While the paperwork was processed, I got to work. I called Child Protective Services about Ethan's reunification. I called Patricia to prepare emergency restraining orders and custody filings. I called a locksmith to change all my locks. I scheduled a security company to install alarms and cameras. **** Daniel would never come near her again. Not on my watch. ***. By late afternoon, Rachel walked out of the hospital bruised, bandaged, exhausted, but standing. We drove straight to see. Ethan was in a small playroom, stacking colored blocks under the supervision of a social worker. When he saw Rachel, he froze. Mommy. His voice cracked. Yes, baby, she whispered, kneeling despite the pain. It's Mommy. He ran to her, sobbing. She wrapped her good arm around him, burying her face in his hair. We're safe now, she whispered. I promise. Mommy, we're not going back to that house, right? No, sweetheart, never. And Daddy. Rachel hesitated just for a moment. Daddy did things that weren't okay, she said gently. And now he has to learn that it's not what you do. But you don't have to be afraid. Mommy and Grandma will protect you. He nodded into her shoulder. The social worker handed us the documents. Rachel Caldwell has emergency custody of Ethan, she said. Daniel Armstrong is prohibited from all contact while charges are pending. Rachel exhaled shakily. For the first time in a long, long time, she was free. If he tries to contact the child, Call the police immediately. We signed the last form, thanked the social worker. And at last, after days that felt like years, we went home. My home, which was now our home. By the time we arrived, the sun was already dipping behind the houses. The locksmith had finished hours earlier. New locks, new keys, new codes. The security company had installed cameras at the front door, in the yard, and watching the back entrance. Any movement would send an alert straight to my phone. I had prepared the guest room as carefully as if I were bringing home a newborn. Fresh sheets, soft towels, a small vase of flowers on the nightstand. "Welcome home, honey," I said quietly. Rachel stood in the doorway, taking it all in. Her eyes shone with tears. "Thank you, Mom," she whispered. "For everything. For not giving up on me. For being here when I finally managed to leave." "I will always be here," I replied. "Always." That night we had a simple dinner: chicken noodle soup, toast, chamomile tea. Food that warmed without overwhelming. Ethan fell asleep on the sofa by 8, worn out in a way no child should ever be. I carried him to the room I'd set up for him. We'd managed to salvage some of his things from the house. His favorite pajamas with little rockets on them, his stuffed bear, a worn-out blanket. "Grandma," he mumbled, half asleep, as I tucked him in. "Yes, my love." "Am I not gonna have nightmares anymore?" My heart tightened. "Maybe you'll still have some," I answered honestly. "But I'm going to be here. And your mommy, too. And whenever you're scared, you call us and we'll come running, okay?" He thought about it for a second, then nodded. "Okay." I kissed his forehead and watched him drift off. Then I turned off the light, leaving the door slightly open the way he liked. Rachel was in the living room, standing by the window, staring out into the quiet street. I sat beside her. "How do you feel?" I asked. She let out a shaky breath. "I don't know," she said. Relieved, terrified, angry, empty, all at the same time. "That's normal," I said softly. "Your whole world just broke and restarted in the same week." She rested her head on my shoulder. "There's something I need to do," she said after a long pause. "What's that?" "I need to go back to the house. One last time." I stiffened. "Why?" "There are things I can't leave there," she said. "Documents. Ethan's baby photos. Some of Dad's things he gave me before he died. My old architectural drawings. I don't want him to destroy them out of spite." "Honey, that can wait." "No," she said firmly. "I need to do it before Daniel gets out. Before he changes the locks. Before he tears everything apart just to hurt me." I thought of Dr. Mendez's words. Of Patricia's. Of the danger. "Then we'll go together," I said at last. "With a police escort." Her eyes widened. "Can we do that?" "Yes. It's called a property retrieval with police protection. Patricia told me about it. You can request an officer to accompany you while you collect your belongings." "I want to go tomorrow," she said without hesitation. "Are you sure?" "I need to close that chapter, Mom. I need to take my things out of that house and never go back again." The next day, we coordinated with the police. 2 officers agreed to meet us at Daniel's house at 10 in the morning. Rachel had made a list: personal documents, birth certificates, photo albums, Ethan's clothes and toys, the jewelry that had belonged to my mother and that I'd passed down to her, her architectural drawings and portfolios. "You'll have about an hour," one of the officers explained. "Just the essentials. No big furniture." We drove to the house, the beautiful house with the perfect lawn and the elegant fountain in the front. The house that had been her gilded cage. Rachel stayed in the car for a moment, just staring. "Are you ready?" I asked. She swallowed. "Yes." The officers opened the door with her key. We stepped inside. Nothing had changed. Dirty dishes in the sink. Toys on the floor. A half-finished cup of coffee on the table. It looked like the morning had simply frozen in place, waiting for us to come back. Rachel walked slowly through the living room, touching the back of a chair, the corner of a picture frame. I thought this house was my dream, she whispered. But it was my nightmare. We went upstairs to the main bedroom. She opened the closet and took out a large suitcase, then another. She packed efficiently, almost mechanically, necessary clothes, documents from the safe, her jewelry, photo albums stacked carefully on top. I helped in silence. Then she found a shoebox pushed to the very back of the closet. She pulled it out, opened it, and froze. Inside were photographs. Dozens of them. Photographs she had taken of herself. Bruises, finger marks, cuts, swollen lips, darkened skin on her arms, thighs, ribs. On the back of each, a date, and a brief note in her shaky handwriting. Asterisk, January 15, 2022. He pushed me against the door. Asterisk, March 3, 2022. He twisted my arm. Asterisk, July 28. He slapped me because I talked back to his father. Asterisk. A meticulous archive of her own suffering. Honey. My voice broke. Why did you keep all of this? She swallowed hard. Because somewhere, deep down, I knew I would need it someday, she said. Proof. In case I ever decided to leave. In case anyone tried to tell me it wasn't real. I took the photos to remind myself I wasn't imagining it. This is crucial evidence, I whispered. I know, she said. It's the story of what I lived. And what I survived. She put the box in the suitcase, almost reverently, like it was something sacred. We went back downstairs. On the coffee table, there was an envelope with Rachel's name on it in Daniel's handwriting. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. She opened it, unfolded the letter, tried to read, but her voice broke. Let me, I said. I took the paper and read aloud. Asterisk Rachel. Asterisk greater than. Asterisk I know you're angry. I know you think you hate me. But everything I did because I love you. I love you too much. I can't live without you. Asterisk. Asterisk, yes, I made mistakes. I admit it. I lost control. But you provoke me too. You drive me crazy with your attitude, with your defiance, with your disobedience. If you had been the wife you promised to be, none of this would have happened. Asterisk. Asterisk, but there is still time. We can fix this. Drop the charges. Come home. We'll go to therapy. We'll start over. Asterisk, greater than. Asterisk, think about Ethan. Think about our baby. Do you really want them to grow up without a father? Do you want to destroy our family? Asterisk, I will forgive you if you forgive me. But if you insist on going ahead with this, if you testify against me, if you put me in jail, you'll regret it. I have lawyers. I have money. I will fight for custody. I'll prove you're unstable. That you have mental problems. That you're unfitted. I will win. I always win. Asterisk. Asterisk, the choice is yours, Rachel. Family or war. Asterisk. The silence after those words was heavier than any shout. Rachel was shaking. He's threatening me, she whispered. Even from jail. Yes, I said. He is? And what if he's right? She burst out. What if he takes the kids from me? What if a judge believes him? He won't, I said firmly. How can you be so sure? Because now, I said, you have what you didn't have before. Evidence. Those photos. Andrea's testimony. The hospital records. The recording of his threats. This letter, I held it up. This is legal gold, sweetheart. It shows his manipulation, his blame, his intimidation. It proves a pattern of abuse. Rachel inhaled slowly, then exhaled. She folded the letter carefully and slipped it into her bag. You're right, she said at last. I'm done being afraid. Are you sure? I asked gently. Yes, her voice was steady now. I'm not going to let him control me anymore, not with fists. Not with threats, not with words on paper. We finished packing. 3 suitcases, 2 boxes of documents, albums, drawings, small pieces of a life she was reclaiming. The officers helped us load everything into the car. Before getting in, Rachel turned to look at the house one last time. "Do you want to go back in?" I asked. "No," she said. "I just want to remember it exactly like this, so I never, ever go back." She pulled the house key from her pocket, looked at it, and set it down on the mailbox by the gate. "I don't need it anymore," she said. Then she got into the car. We drove back in silence, but this time, it was a different kind of silence. Not the suffocating silence of fear, the sacred silence of transformation. My daughter had entered that house for the last time as a victim, and walked out as a survivor. That night, after Ethan fell asleep and Rachel finally lay down to rest, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Patricia. "Greater than Margaret, Daniel has posted bail. He's being released tomorrow. A chill ran through me, but it lasted only a second. I typed back. "We're ready. Let him try. We're not afraid anymore. And for the first time, it was true. Because this time, he wasn't the only one with power. We had something he never expected. Proof, courage, and the truth. Justice would be slow. It would be painful. But it was coming. Daniel was released from jail on a Friday afternoon. I knew because the cameras outside my house recorded. A car we didn't recognize driving slowly past. Once, then again, then a third time. It never stopped. No one got out. No one rang the bell. But the message was crystal clear. I know where you are. Rachel watched the footage and went pale. "He's violating the restraining order," she said. "Technically, no," Patricia explained over the phone. "The order says he can't come within 500 meters, or make direct or indirect contact. If he just drove down the street without stopping, it's a gray area." Rachel snapped. "He's trying to intimidate us." "I know," Patricia said. "But we need stronger evidence. For now, document everything. Every suspicious car, every strange call, every incident. Save it all." And that's what we did. For weeks, we lived on high alert. Every noise made us jump. Every car that slowed down in front of the house made our hearts race. Ethan woke up crying almost every night. "Mommy, Mommy." Rachel would climb into bed beside him, hold him, and whisper over and over, "You're safe. Mommy's here. Grandma's here. He's never going to hurt us again." But I saw the dark circles under her eyes, the constant vigilance, the weight of surviving. Then the indirect messages began. Not to Rachel directly, that would be a clear violation of the order. No. Daniel was more clever than that. He used other people His mother, Susan, called one afternoon. Rachel put the phone on speaker so I could hear. "Rachel," Susan said, her voice quivering, "please. Your father-in-law and I are desperate. Daniel is destroyed. He's not eating. He's not sleeping. He just cries." "With respect, Mrs. Armstrong," Rachel replied quietly. "Your son almost killed me." "It was a mistake," Susan insisted. "A terrible mistake, but he regrets it. He's going to intensive therapy twice a week. He's taking medication. He's trying." "I'm glad he's getting help," Rachel said. "But that doesn't erase what he did. Please, think about your children," Susan pleaded. "Ethan needs his father. And the baby will need him, too." "My children need a living mother," Rachel replied. "That's my priority. Don't be cruel, Rachel. Don't destroy my son's life over a moment of weakness." "A moment?" Rachel's voice hardened. "It was years, Mrs. Armstrong. Years of abuse that you saw and never truly questioned." Silence on the line. "I know what marriages are like," Susan finally whispered. "Sometimes men lose control. A good wife learns how to handle them. How not to provoke them." Rachel closed her eyes for a second. Listen to what you're saying, she said. You're justifying what he did. I'm being realistic, Susan answered, almost irritated. That's how the world works. If every woman reported her husband, there would be no families left. Then maybe, Rachel said softly but firmly, it's time the world changes. She hung up. Her hands were trembling not from fear, but from anger. 50 years, she said. 50 years of believing abuse is normal, that it's always the woman's fault, that she just has to endure it. And that, I told her, is exactly why what you're doing matters so much. You are breaking that curse. The days passed. The trial date crept closer. The prosecutor kept us updated. Daniel's lawyers want a plea deal, he told us one afternoon. They're proposing to reduce the charges to simple assault if Rachel agrees to withdraw the attempted homicide accusation. Rachel didn't hesitate for even a second. No, she said. No deals. I want a full trial. Are you sure? The prosecutor asked. It'll be public. The media will likely be there. Your entire story could become news. Good, Rachel replied. Maybe other women will watch and realize they don't have to stay. I thought my heart might burst with pride. But Daniel wasn't staying quiet either. He couldn't contact Rachel, but he could control the narrative. He and his family started a campaign on social media, nothing explicitly about the case. Just enough to send a message. Posts like, asterisk, a good man's life destroyed by lies. Asterisk. Asterisk, no one talks about the fathers who suffer false accusations. Asterisk. Asterisk, justice for Daniel Armstrong. Asterisk. They posted photos of him holding Ethan, old videos from birthday parties, vacation images where everyone smiled. Two strangers on the internet. He looked like the perfect father, the loving husband, the victim of a vindictive woman. But we knew the truth, and this time, we were ready to fight for it. It was Mr. Armstrong. I have nothing to talk about with you, I said coldly. It's about the future of my grandson, he replied. I hesitated. Ethan's face flashed through my mind. All right, I said. Tomorrow, in public, I choose the place. Whatever you want. We met at a coffee shop in broad daylight, packed with people, with big windows and too much noise for anyone to do anything stupid. Mr. Armstrong arrived alone. No wife, no lawyers, no entourage. Just him, in a wrinkled suit that suddenly looked too big for him. He seemed older, diminished, as if the last months had aged him years. He sat across from me. "Thank you for coming," he began. "What do you want, Mr. Armstrong?" I asked. "I want us to talk like reasonable people," he said. "Without lawyers, without judges. Just you and me. Talk, then." He exhaled slowly, his shoulders dropping. "Daniel is my only son," he said. "I raised him as best I knew how. I gave him everything: education, opportunities, values." "Values," I interrupted. "What values?" "That women are property. That violence is just discipline." He flinched. "I taught him what my father taught me," he admitted. "That a man must be strong. That he must keep his family under control." "That's not strength," I replied. "That's abuse." He stared at his hands. "Maybe," he said hoarsely. "Maybe I was wrong. Maybe we raised a generation of men who confused strength with cruelty." I blinked. I hadn't expected that. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked quietly. "Because I saw the photographs," he said. "The ones from the preliminary hearing. I saw what my son did to Rachel. And I saw myself." He took off his glasses and wiped his eyes with shaking fingers. "For 50 years, he continued, I did the same to Susan. Maybe not as violently. Maybe not as often. But I controlled her. I silenced her. I made her small. And she endured it because she thought she had no choice." He looked up at me, eyes red. "I don't know if what I feel now is regret, shame, or just the bitter realization that I destroyed the woman I claimed to love." He paused. "Susan is sick," he said. "Stage 4 cancer. They say she has 6 months left." I'm sorry," I murmured, "despite everything. Do you know what hurts the most?" He whispered. "That now, when I'm about to lose her, I realize I never really knew her. I never asked what she dreamed of, what she wanted, who she was beyond being my wife." Tears slid down his cheeks. "I don't want Daniel to end up like me," he said. "Old, alone, full of remorse." "Then stop helping him avoid consequences," I replied. "Stop paying lawyers to twist the truth. If you really want to help him face what he did, not escape it." "And if he truly changes?" Mr. Armstrong asked. "If he really changes, would you encourage Rachel to give him another chance?" "That's not my decision," I said. "It's hers. But I'll tell you this. Real change doesn't start with legal threats or blaming stress. It starts with admitting what he did, without excuses." "But she provoked me, and so far, all your son has shown is manipulation and self-pity." Mr. Armstrong nodded slowly. "You're right," he said. "I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but thank you for listening." He stood up, then turned back one last time. "Margaret," he said, voice soft. "Tell Rachel I'm sorry for what I said that night at the restaurant, for clapping, for saying she needed to know her place. I'm ashamed of those words." "Don't tell me," I replied. "Tell her." In a letter. With no conditions, no begging, no manipulation. Just an apology. He nodded. "I will." Then he left. I told Rachel about the conversation that evening. "Do you think he's sincere?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "But at least he's finally admitting that something is wrong. That's more than he did before." 2 weeks later, the trial began. The courtroom was full. Reporters, relatives, strangers who loved drama more than justice. Daniel walked in first. Impeccable suit, hair perfectly styled, an expression carefully crafted, serious, sober, almost dignified. Rachel entered a few minutes later. She wore a simple blue dress, no heavy makeup, no attempt to hide. Her visible bruises had faded, but the weight in her eyes told the real story. The trial lasted 3 long days. The prosecutor dismantled Daniel's image piece by piece. The photographs Rachel had secretly taken for years. Andrea's testimony, the sitter who saw Daniel with his hand on Rachel's throat while Ethan watched, the hospital records describing her injuries and the strangulation marks. The audio recording of the meeting at their house, where Daniel threatened legal war, and tried to control the narrative. The letter he left, full of guilt-tripping and threats. And finally, it was Rachel's turn. She walked to the witness stand, placed her right hand on the Bible, and the clerk spoke. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I swear," she replied. And she told it all. Not with theatrics. Not with shouting. Just the truth. She described the slow, creeping changes. The comments about her clothes. The criticism, the control of the money. The isolation from friends. The cameras in the house, the fear in Ethan's eyes. She spoke about the first time he pushed her. The first slap. The first time he grabbed her harder than necessary, and then told her it was her fault. She talked about that morning. The morning he found out about the pregnancy. His rage, his hands around her neck. The world going dark, Ethan screaming, and the thought that echoed in her mind, "My children will grow up thinking this is normal." The room was completely silent. Even some of the reporters had tears in their eyes. Daniel kept his head bowed almost the entire time. Then came the cross-examination. "Isn't it true," Daniel's lawyer asked, "that you often provoked my client?" "No," Rachel said calmly. "Isn't it true that you also have a temper?" "I have never laid a hand on him," she replied. "Not once." "Isn't it true that you're exaggerating to gain an advantage in the divorce and custody proceedings?" Rachel looked straight at the jurors. "I don't need to exaggerate," she said. "The truth is enough." No matter what angle he tried, the lawyer couldn't shake her. Then it was Daniel's turn. He took the stand with the confidence of a man who'd been believed his entire life. At first, he sounded composed. "I love my wife," he said. "I made mistakes, yes, but I never meant to hurt her. It was stress, pressure, misunderstandings." But the prosecutor was ready. "Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize these photographs?" he asked, projecting them on a screen. "Yes," Daniel murmured. "Did you cause these injuries?" A long silence. "I lost control sometimes," he finally said. "Did you lose control?" the prosecutor pressed. "Or did you make a choice?" "It was the stress. My job, the responsibility she didn't understand." She provoked. "So, you blame the victim," the prosecutor cut in. "No, I take responsibility for my actions." Daniel backpedaled. "Oh, you do." The prosecutor raised an eyebrow. "Is that why you sent this letter?" He held it up. "The one where you threatened to ruin her, take her children, and win because you always win." Daniel turned pale. "I wrote it when I was angry. You intimidated her. That's witness tampering, Mr. Armstrong. That's not remorse. That's control." His lawyer jumped up. "Objection. Overruled," the judge said. "The witness will answer." Daniel stammered, but whatever mask he'd put on was slipping in front of everyone. "And I understood something, sitting there in that cold room. Men like Daniel are only fearless when they have power. Take that away, and their courage disappears with it." The jury deliberated for 6 hours. 6 hours that felt like 6 lifetimes. When they came back, their faces were solemn, unreadable. Those were the last words they ever exchanged. They led Daniel out of the courtroom in handcuffs, and Rachel finally breathed. For the first time in years, my daughter took a breath that wasn't wrapped in fear. Outside the courthouse, the media was waiting. Cameras, microphones, flashes. Rachel stepped forward, her posture straight, her voice steady. "My name is **** Rachel Hayes ****. She said, "For years, I was a victim of domestic violence. I stayed silent out of shame, out of fear, and because I truly believed it was my fault. Today, I'm here alive because I finally found the courage to leave. Because I had a mother who stood by me. Because I realized my children deserved to see a strong mother, not a broken one. If there is a woman listening to me right now who is living something similar, you are not alone. It is not your fault. And yes, you can get out. It's hard. It's terrifying. But it's possible. And it's worth it." The cameras captured every word. The next day, her testimony was national news the hashtag #WeAreRachel began to trend. Thousands of women shared their own stories. Shelters reported an increase in calls. Many finally found the courage to ask for help. My daughter had become a symbol. She didn't go looking for that robot when it arrived. She carried it with quiet dignity. Months passed. Rachel gave birth to a baby girl. She named her Valentina for the courage, she said, that I finally found. Ethan started therapy. The nightmares came less often, then slowly disappeared. He laughed again. He played again. He became what he truly was, a little boy, not a witness to terror. Mr. Armstrong kept his word. He sent a letter apologizing. Not excusing. Not defending. Just apologizing. And more importantly, he stopped publicly defending Daniel. He focused on caring for Susan in her final months. When Susan died, Rachel went to the funeral. Not for Daniel. She went for that quiet woman who had spent 50 years in silence because she, too, was a victim of the same system. The same beliefs, the same "that's just how marriage is." A year after the trial, something unexpected happened. Mr. Armstrong published an article in a major newspaper. The title was, "A Father's Letter to His Son in Prison." In it, he confessed publicly how he had raised Daniel with toxic ideas, how he had normalized control, how he had applauded what he called discipline when it was, in truth, abuse. Greater than I was wrong. He wrote. And my son is paying the price. But more than anyone, the women around us paid it first. And then he wrote something that stayed with me. To all fathers, teach your sons that true masculinity is not domination. It is respect. It is empathy. It is knowing when you're wrong. And having the courage to change. The article went viral. Rachel read it and cried not from sadness, but from hope, because if a man in his 70s can finally see it, she said, then maybe there's hope for the boys being raised now. Maybe they won't repeat this. Do you think Daniel will ever really change? She asked me one night while breastfeeding Valentina. I don't know, honey, I told her honestly. Maybe yes, maybe no. But that's not your responsibility anymore. It stopped being your job to save him the day you walked out that door. I know, she sighed. I just hope that someday he truly understands the harm he caused. Not for me, but for Ethan. So that if they ever meet again, it's as different men. It could happen, I said. And if not, she kissed Valentina's soft little head. At least my children will grow up knowing that abuse is not normal, that respect is not optional, and that real love doesn't hurt. That, I told her, is the best kind of revenge, breaking the cycle. She smiled a deep, calm smile. In it, I could see everything she'd lost, and everything she had reclaimed, because justice isn't always fast. But when it does arrive, it restores more than laws. It restores dignity, It restores hope, It restores the belief that good, sooner or later, stands up and speaks louder than evil. And those who sow pain, at some point, they face the echo of their own actions. Not as revenge, but as balance. Daniel had sown violence. Now he was reaping loneliness, rejection, and the weight of his own decisions. Rachel had sown courage, and she was finally reaping peace. 3 years have passed since that night in the restaurant. 3 years since I Margaret stood up from that table and decided the silence was over. Today is Sunday. The sun slips through my kitchen window, bathing the old wooden table in warm light. Ethan is drawing with crayons while little Valentina, now 2, tries to steal all the colors for herself. Rachel is making coffee. She moves with a calm I once thought I'd never see again. She no longer wears long sleeves in summer. She no longer jumps at every message on her phone. She no longer apologizes for existing. She went back to architecture. She works from home now, designing spaces that, in her words, help people feel safe. Ethan is 6. He only goes to therapy once a month now. The nightmares vanished a year ago. Not long ago, he asked me, "Grandma, was Daddy bad?" I knelt down so we were eye to eye. "Your dad did bad things, sweetheart," I said. "But that doesn't mean he didn't love you. It means he was lost. And he hurt the people he loved. And am I going to be like him when I grow up?" He whispered. "No, my love," I said, holding his shoulders, "because you already know something it took him years to understand. That strong men protect. They don't hurt." He thought for a second, nodded, and then went back to his drawing. But I know the questions will return as he grows up, and when they do, we'll be ready. Daniel is serving his sentence in a prison 3 hours away. He has written letters. Many letters. The first ones were manipulative, full of self-pity excuses. Rachel read them, then put them away without replying. But about 6 months ago, a different kind of letter arrived. Greater than Rachel, greater than I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to read this. But after 3 years of mandatory therapy, groups for abusers, and a lot of silence, I finally understand something. What I did to you wasn't love. It was control. It was abuse. It was the product of believing I had rights over you. I was raised to think being a man meant dominating, and when you showed strength, I took it as rebellion, as a challenge. I was wrong. I'm not asking you for anything, not another chance, not forgiveness, not contact. I just want you to know, I take complete responsibility for the harm I caused. If someday, when Ethan is older, he wants to see me, I will be honest with him. I will tell him what I did so he can learn from my mistakes and never repeat them. I wish you peace. Rachel showed me the letter. "Do you think he's sincere?" she asked. "I don't know," I said. "But even if he is, it doesn't change anything about what you owe him, which is nothing. Forgiveness is yours to give or not. It's your decision, not his right." "I know," she said softly, "but, for the first time, I think I can let go of the anger." "Does that mean you forgive him?" I asked. "No," she replied. "It means I don't let him live in my head anymore. He has his life and his consequences. I have mine, and I choose to build my future, not stare at the ruins of my past." And that is exactly what she has done. Mr. Armstrong visits us sometimes. He is no longer the imposing, arrogant man I first met. Losing Susan and seeing his son in prison carved something out of him and put something new in its place. Now, he spends his time giving talks about toxic masculinity and conscious fatherhood. If I can stop even one father from raising his sons the way I raised Daniel, he told me one afternoon, then maybe all this pain won't have been for nothing. This morning, while we sip coffee, Rachel looks at me with eyes that finally shine with their own light. Mom, did I tell you I was offered a new project? She says. No, which one? A shelter, she smiles. A shelter for women escaping violence. They want individual rooms, spaces where they can lock the door and feel safe. Playrooms for kids, therapy spaces, gardens. They want it to be a place where women can actually heal. Honey, I say, my voice catching, that's perfect for you. Do you remember? She continues. When I was little and I built that birdhouse in the backyard. How could I forget? I laugh. You said birds needed a safe place. She smiles. I think I've always wanted to build safe places. She says softly. I just had to learn first that I deserved one, too. She takes my hand across the table. Thank you, Mom, she whispers, for never giving up, for being there when I finally managed to leave, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. You, I tell her, did the hardest part. I only kept the door open. But if that door hadn't been open, she replies, I wouldn't have known where to run. We hug. In that embrace is everything. The pain of the past, the strength of the present, and the quiet hope of the future. Ethan runs up with a drawing in his hand. Mommy, look, he says. It's our family. On the paper, he's drawn 3 figures, himself, Valentina, and Rachel. Behind them, a big house with huge windows and a bright yellow sun. It's beautiful, my love, Rachel says. Tell me about it. See? He points. The house has lots of windows, so lots of light can come in. Because when there's light, there's no fear. Rachel looks at me, eyes filled with tears. Even kids understand, she whispers. Darkness was where we lived. Light is where we heal. Outside, my garden is in bloom. The roses we planted last year are full and bright red yellow, pink full of life. Just like us. If our story helps even one woman open her eyes, if it helps one mother hold the door open for her daughter, if it reminds even one person that love should never hurt, then every tear, every fear, every sleepless night will have had a purpose. Because silence kills but truth sets you free. And sometimes all it takes is one outstretched hand, one open door, one voice saying, I believe you. You are not alone. You can leave. I was that voice for my daughter. Maybe you can be that voice for someone else. Justice did not arrive as revenge. It arrived as balance. Daniel lost his freedom, his reputation, his right to stand above others. Rachel gained her dignity, her peace, her future. We learned something simple, but powerful. Real love does not control. Real love does not humiliate. Real love does not leave bruisers outside or inside. Real love protects. Real love builds. Real love sets you free. This is my story. The story of a mother who refused to give up, and of a daughter who found the courage to fly. Thank you for listening till the end.